Every single Thursday, we are so lucky to be joined by Jay Johnson, head coach of LSU baseball, national champion, the grinder of all grinders, the man. Coach, did you ever have an opinion on NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys?
Wow. No, honestly. I definitely know who they are. And, some upbeat, feel-good music. But
I just didn't know. Because you're kind of in the age where, the boy band wars were going down. I didn't know if you picked a side back in the day.
Yeah, good solid energy out of those guys, but it wasn't really my deal.
That's the best coach answer
That's a great
I've ever
job.
heard. Just great
job,
energy,
Coach.
good solid. Hey, Coach, speaking of energy, 6 games in 8 days. That's a grind. And so how pleased are you that at the end of this grind, through 2 games, you give up 1 run, use a ton of different arms, right? You go all the way through the pitchers, top to bottom. Does it feel, these last 2 performances, does it feel a bit like validation of all the work that you put into recruiting?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think highlighting that was yesterday's game, and you look at kind of some things that happened there. I thought Griffin Herring was really sharp. I thought Christian Little did a great job. And then you're moving into guys that haven't been at the forefront of this thing. Nick Gronzini, he just keeps striking everybody out when we put him in the game, so that's awesome. And then you move from there to Will Helmers, great story, great team leader, been around here forever. We made some massive adjustments late in the fall and moving into the spring, and he's been really, really effective. And I think that's a great development for us. And then kind of highlighting at the end there, Cam Johnson coming in, he's super talented, going to be a huge part of our future of our program, starting to get more comfortable and getting people out. And then Aiden Moffitt at the end of the game was electric, and good sign of things to come for us on the mound.
Coach, again, we call you the grinder of all grinders, and it's in every facet, including scheduling, right? And I got to be honest, when I saw it, and I was like, oh, wow, you're going straight from weekend series to then 2 midweek games right before having to go to the dude. Did this almost have the feeling of like a pseudo tournament? When you think about sometimes some of the depth that's going to be tested in like the SC tournament and potentially Omaha or the NCAA tournament down the line, was that at all a part of the scheduling decision making here, or was it just giving yourself some final tinkering opportunities?
Yeah, I think a couple things. Number one, I always want to play 56 games. Number two, I thought for this team this year, because you'll really only have one player last year that was in there start to finish, and that was Tommy White. And so we knew we were, breaking in a new group of position players. I wanted to play more games before league started. And, with the SEC, for all the great things that they do in the conference office, we don't get the conference schedule until the fall. I don't think we get it until October, maybe September. And so you don't know if you're starting on the road or at home. And so, that just kind of fell the way that it did, but I'm comfortable. I like how the team handled the preseason schedule. And, here we go. And we're leaving this morning. I always try to get there early to get some rest. We should land by 11:30 and not practice until 6. So it's a good afternoon for them just to get kind of reset. Then we have all day tomorrow as well. So we try to maximize the rest where we can.
Coach, you have 2 games this week before, as we're talking about, you go into SEC play. Do you go into those 2 games hey, I want to see this, right? This is something I'm waiting to see, and maybe it's right there on the verge, and I want to see this before we head into SEC play. Is that different every year? How do you handle those final 2 games before you get into conference play? Or are they like any other conference or non-conference game, I should say, before you get started?
Well, these were tricky because the team that we were playing was not a bad team, but they'd played a hellacious schedule to this point, and so their record's not very good. And if you lose a game at home to a team with a bad record, it absolutely sinks you in the RPI.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Let's just make sure we win the game. Secondly, was make sure we have our pitching lined up as best we can, which I feel like we definitely were able to do that. And then thirdly, just keep improving. This team's not settled, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just it's going to be a little bit day to day, and we're going to find some things out even as we're going in conference play. And they're just such two different animals. Like, you're only going to find out so much to this point as it is. And I'm proud of the way the team handled the schedule. 16-2 through 18 games. There's only one game where I feel like we didn't have any juice in our bodies and legs, and maybe that's scheduling, going to Houston, playing a road midweek. This last Sunday against Xavier, like, we just couldn't get off the mat.
Yeah.
But other than that, our team's been great. They've done everything that we've asked them to do. We need to keep improving and win some games along the way, and that's what we're going to try to do this weekend.
Well, and you mentioned it too, a great trait of this team that is in the biggest moments, right? When they've had to be at their best, they've definitely been that thus far. You also talked about how now that we're getting into conference play that, these pitchers, they're going to eat a couple punches. They're going to get touched up on the chin a couple times, or maybe they haven't yet to this point. Is that something that you'll talk about and try to prepare them for?
Yeah.
What's that process look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like in the inter-squad games, we started most of their outings with guys on base, just so they got used to pitching with guys on base. And, that's going to be a test. I mean, you're looking at a couple guys that haven't even given up a run yet. And so, which is great. We wouldn't have that any other way. But, the margin between winning and losing against any team we play over the next 10 weekends is very small. And a lot of it is, your response to failure. You're not letting the team down. Like, if you give up a run or a home run, the only way you let the team down is if it parlays into the next pitch or 3 hitters after that or 3 at-bats after that. We talk about, like, having a failure recovery strategy and having, it didn't go my way. Now I got to get over that, and then not just get over it, like reconnect to what do I need to do now. For a hitter, that's play defense. For a pitcher, it's get to the next pitch.
And Coach, you mentioned not yet being settled, and that's not a bad thing. Obviously, you can move pieces around. You put your best foot forward, and that might look different from day-to-day, game-to-game. But will you have a conversation with your full staff? Hey, what do we want to look like this weekend? Like, what do we want to look like line up and just kind of everything and have a plan even for the third game in the series?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's a day-to-day thing, league game, non-conference game.
Yeah.
It's just been a little more challenging this year, setting it up in a good way. Just we have a lot of guys that are close to the same,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe outside of Tommy, Jared Jones popping the ball over the fence right now, you could almost interchange anybody else, and I don't know that it would change the result that much. And that's a good thing. But we want to make sure we line it up and get it right and keep developing all the players so they can all make a bigger contribution as we go.
And then speaking of kind of tinkering, Coach, last night, a little Kling Bingham switch up, Bingham leading off, Kling bumping down to eighth there. How do you feel? How do you feel that went yesterday?
I was good. I mean, and just in the sense of basically, it doesn't matter who the name is to me. I just want somebody on base when Tommy comes up to hit.
Yeah,
like that's I mean, it's not like rocket science. And Matt got on base 3 times yesterday, so it was good.
There you go, Coach Jay Johnson. I mean, hell yeah, dude. Even though a lot of what you do does feel like rocket science, grinding film, determining all these matchups. I know I speak for everyone, Coach. So freaking pumped that SEC play is here. Okay, last one here. Going into the dude, one of the most hostile environments in the entire SEC. How do you feel about this team being prepared to handle what is going to be their most hostile setting yet?
Yeah, we'll drop I might show them a clip of Rocky IV tonight.
Yeah.
When Rocky rolls into Russia, and it's like the whole country is against Rocky type thing, and that's how it goes. But it's a good place to play. Like it's one of those ones you remember. It's a beautiful ballpark. Their fans are into it, but how we play will dictate how into it they are.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so we have control of it a little bit, and I want to make sure that they understand that.
Hey, T-Bob, sports.
T-Bob lied to you because I want to have follow up real quick on that, Coach. Like having some of your starters have been in that environment. They've pitched in the SEC, and Luke and Thatcher. Like, will you have a conversation with Gage? Because Gage has pitched, high leverage situations obviously his entire life and getting to this point. But will you have a conversation, just a quick word with him, like, hey, here's this situation. I know you can handle it. Just go out there. Will that be something that you make sure that you get done?
Yeah, it's just about honestly, it's just about emotional control because, in my opinion, he is one of the best pitchers in college baseball, and not many people knew that when we pulled him in here because he missed last year because of injury. So he just needs to be in control of himself, and he's in control of himself, which he has been to this point, including in a big environment in Houston when we played UL. Then I'll live with the results, but I trust him to do that. But we'll make sure that he's ready to roll.
Coach Jay Johnson, cannot wait. Traveling today, heading up to Starkville, and then it's going down this weekend, boys. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been crazy lately. 6 games in 8 days. Congratulations on a great pre-conference slate, and we'll talk to you again next week.